Oh shit. Hello and good afternoon, everybody. If you have any questions, feel free to hit up in the chat. And I'm gonna run down on what I've been doing. So let's start with that because you totally missed out on my work on things that I've been getting and haven't added. Just a small summary of the story behind the picture is the Shrine of Shows. It's a bit of a mystery quest for a party, for a setting where they stumble upon an abandoned village or town, a very coastal abandoned village or town, and it won't take long for them to find some bodies floating in the water. So then the mystery goes on and leads them to an island where they find a deep priestess, someone who's may have lost a marble or two, or may have lost her pearls. She is using the corpses from the drowned ones as drowned followers, drowned undead. So going a bit with the ocean theme, she has a ocean siren captive. And overnight this ocean siren wails and cries it out, which leads to it more villagers abandoning that post and hearing the song, or at least the cries, and thus drowning. So it's all a bit of a one whack job ruins a lot of things in a butterfly effect scenario. She does have a few living supporters, a few cultists, if you will. They're also quite mentally insane, and they stand beside her. The ocean siren itself is in a poor shape and won't be able to fight or defend itself against the party. And whereas this is more of a high risk, high reward, because she, this priestess that the party is going to take it up against, this bit of a, I would say, close to lichdom. She won't be a pretty sight to behold, or at least yeah, a necromancer type of wizard. And thus the high reward is still something I have to think about, because they take a fair amount of risk taking it up against necromancer, beating and slashing through many undead to solve this this issue. But let's have a look into the art over here and go over it. I started out with people may hate me for this, AI generator. Why don't you draw it yourself, or why do you use an AI generator? I use it for the amount of colors, the background, and I always make sure and double check that the work isn't stolen or anything. I set up my own prompts and I use it as I believe it should be used, which is to craft faster designs as for the artist. So I have 3 lovely pictures that I got from it. The initial idea, like, oh hey, it's a tower on an island. This is a pretty cool design. There's always gimmicks which gives away that it is the AI and not an artist. You see that the little rail over here, it's broken, it's not continuous. An artist copy pastes and you get a more continuous line. The AI kind of messes that part up. It's like someone is using the heal tool in Photoshop and just blemishes over everything. It's still a fairly cool result, nonetheless. And some light and shadows don't really add up that much, but furthermore, depending on the AI generator that you use, some color themes are very dapper and nice. Personally, I use Dream AI. It's free, and that's the reason I'm using it. It's free. There you have it, free. I would pay for it if I'd maybe more sure of the market and I'd be able to land a job in my profession. Then heck yeah, I'd go for that. But for now, I'm learning the ropes and learn how to quickly recognize any AI art, which is, I have to be honest, once you get a knack for it, it's pretty easy to tell. It's not only the fingers that you have to watch, because they don't do the fingers quite well. It's the size of the head, other complications like muscles. Like, it looks from a distance, it is meant to look okay, just like concept art. And that's where the AI stops. If it goes to the brimmy little details, then an actual artist is far better at doing just that. But hey, it's learning and adapting. I find it amusing, to say the least. So these are my references that I pulled out of the AI generator. I chose one and I had an idea. I'm like, what if the top part of the tower is open and part of this tower is underneath the ground, thus allowing some fresh ocean water to gush down through it. And so I went for that, just you know, concepting around and risking the ideas that I have in mind out of there. Like, how would you keep an ocean siren that is, in my universe, in the D&D terms, huge, or at least at the edge of large? So yeah, there I went, like, speculating, like, how do you do that? And then I blindly drew over the image based on my own reference, something we'll get to later on. And I thought maybe stuck on some sort of stone pillar, so I tried to work with that. Like maybe this creature is stuck to a pillar that's made of stone that holds it into place. It's gonna do not a lot because it's not in the water, so it has disadvantage on bloody everything. Needs that. And then I went ahead like, well, it couldn't be holding itself up, so it probably lies down or something, and you have the stone pillar still tight stuck to it. That didn't work out either. I removed the stone pillar to show more of its features. Like, it's not gonna get up anyway. It probably gave up after a couple of days of thrashing around the place. Like, still trying to remain somewhat, I'm gonna say the word moist, damp for its skin and the conditions, but and then I figured, like, yeah, it's probably just laying there and perhaps already given up in a way, or saving up some strength for some sort of backlash. And as I looked at the complete picture, because I still want the focus to be on that ocean siren and not on the entire background, I began thinking. And I also placed some water on the floor to make it more apparent, like things are gushing down in there. But then wouldn't that mean the place would be, you know, below water, as in completely drowned? Must be some sort of system for that. So it really kept me thinking in the process, and that I had Avid. I zoomed in and grabbed what I wanted. Turn that off. So here we have the image again. And literally what I did, I grabbed my selection tool, selected the area that I wanted to have the main focus on, and enhanced it like CSI. That had that effect going on, like, oh, that's nice. I started tinkering again with the art. Add some more blue to the background, some light, because your lightest point always has the focus of the viewer. It's immediately attracted to that point, so try to make the siren the brightest point in the picture. And then I thought of, well, if it's been underwater and it has been probably emptied or, you know, kept empty somehow, maybe they tricked the ocean siren in a way to have its lair. Perhaps it was its lair because it was underwater, and then this mad priestess came along and emptied the entire chamber. So there's still some water dripping here there, but not much. At least that would leave a lot of crustaceans, or at least crustaceans, what am I saying? Barnacles. Yeah, those things. Barnacles, shells, seagrass, maybe some coral left and right. My attempt at coral over there. Because of the party that I host for. Hello, Shadow Dave. Hello, can you hear me? I hope you can. Last time I had a bit of a hiccup. Anywho, the party threw a harpoon at the ocean siren, and I thought, oh, this is a nice gimmick to put in there. And maybe to get the final chance to beat this bastard up, and it's just saving some energy down here in this shrine of shells. Hosted by a mad priestess. And I still have to figure out why she went mad, why she's doing what she's doing, and I don't think she'd realized that she's the cause behind the ghost town, the dead villagers, for trapping an ocean siren in a in a shrine, in a temple. Here's my own reference. It's from a couple of years ago that I drew the ocean siren, and I just really wanted to have fun over here with the concept, the idea, and also to showcase how big he is. I mean, it's humongous. And I always, you know, whack up the size chart in D&D. I'll do that. So as for a size reference, here's the priestess. She's not adorned in her attire yet. I have to figure out where to locate her. Here she is briefly, but I'll go over her. There we go. So we had her in different stages. Like the first one, A second one where she starts to dress up, or at least stick all sorts of shells and sea critters to her dress. And maybe she started out as some sort of nun from, I wouldn't know what religion, and then things started to, you know, rot. And we got the last result. And I started off with a couple of scribbles. What do I want? And then they're not clear, I know. It's just a couple of seconds to just get it out of my head. Then I looked up some references of nuns, like, oh, that's interesting. I drew one of the references even, like, yeah, just to get the hang of the nun itself, and I stuck with the pose and decided to go for clothing that would fit with the whole drowned theme. And this story per se, this quest that I'm working on, is going to be a horror side quest, or a horror quest. It's not necessarily campaign material, but I want there's a location, there is a need for the party to investigate, or perhaps they stumble upon it. That could be a thing too, like, oh, this is odd, and then they have the ability to, I'm gonna loot and plunder all of these houses, and maybe wonder where the characters went who owned these houses. Maybe you have a party of murder hobos who actually need more of a push to investigate rather than the curious party. I'm lucky to have the curious party, so I only have to throw it in their face and they'll do the thing themselves. So yeah. Also, Shadow Dave, how are you doing? And how's your character doing? The Celestial Tieflin. Good. That's nice. Good to hear. And good you can hear me too. That was a thing last time. You had 2 cancelled games last week. Oh no, sad face indeed. I really have to fix those icons in chat. Oh my. And add some sound. But oh no, that's a bummer. Sometimes that happens. There's a front view of the priestess, and I find it very funny because I have her on a separate layer, like, oh, she's like a little miniature that I can bloop 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 all over the scene, like dwaddle dwaddle dwaddle. I may want some of the drowned undead in the picture too, but I'm not too sure because main focus has to be the humongous or huge siren in the background, the monster. And we'll have, for the side quest, perhaps a profile picture for the Mad Priestess. And I have still to figure out what support you can get from this. And I was thinking, because they threw, as in my party, they threw a harpoon at this massive being, and they had a boat crash because of that. Oops. This is a chance to get the harpoon back, and I was thinking, like, maybe I could make it some sort of legendary weapon to wield. So that was a thing I was been thinking of, and maybe the priestess is wearing something that could be of interest for parties. Like, oh, maybe she holds onto a staff of cones or shells. Staff of shells, like, what does it do? Well, it raises the undead from the ocean, the drowned ones, summons them. Grim, hollow, but could be. Or if they want to wear her outfit and smell like rotting sea mush, then yes, go for that. I wouldn't. This is like the picture that I can almost smell because I'm used to the ocean. I had a lot of beach time. Yay! And I've also smelled some putrid stuff of that came rotten in, and like, oh, oof, oof, oof. And when I look at this picture, I can almost smell that putrid, rotten seaweed, like, oh my. But yeah, that's the image I do want her to portray. Because yeah, and I'm gonna continue some work on barnacles while talking. If you have questions, again, feel free to post them in chat. because there's still a lot that I have to think about, and I just wanted to get rid of this this image, and I had the general outline for what I wanted. Now there's a whole means of figuring things out. Oh, and yes, and all of the algae everywhere. That will be everywhere. And this staircase, I do like it. Just want to extend it a little bit. And this tail, I want to make it a bit of a more fluent design and have it loop back toward the creature. There we go, that's better. Like, maybe it wasn't the entire floor, but at least a good portion, because we have some coral over here. Maybe I could lower the coral, I have no clue. I could do a lot of things. So yeah, all in all, with the AI generator, I can speed up my art progress and get what I want within a limited time. There's always the question like, yeah, but would you be able to draw such a background on your, all by yourself? Like, yeah, I would, but that would take a ton of research from my behalf. And not only a ton of research, most part would be the rendering, and the rendering is no joke. That would be 40 hours, I guess? So, I'm already 40 hours in. Technically, if I'm just, you know, looking at the details over here, like some of the stuff. And then I'm drawing right over those 40 hours to mandate my own little thing that I want. It's like a skeleton to me, skeleton base. Like, that's how I want to view this art piece that I'm using from the AI. And I think it's fine and okay if you use the skeleton base, because it still means you're the artist, you draw, you make something out of it. Nothing to be afraid of. Just to create awesomeness and awesome content for a lovely community that is really eager to go play games together. I gotta put more thought into this light source right over here. I find it a wee bit bright. It's there, it's needed, but I find it a little bit too much in my face, if you get my drift. I got a trickaroo for that. Whoop. That better. Just to see how it would be without a light source up there. You know? Putting the candles out, like having some maybe up there, but also whee! Meaning we'd also have some natural light aside from the more oceanic lightning that's coming in from this corner right over there. I'm gonna go think about this. Maybe what's the wrong one? I mean, I can always add more candles to the scenery later on. There we go. Oh, back to the barnacles. You wanted to make clear that this is a bit of a pillar right over there, and I have yet to figure out, like, are you gonna do that with sheer lightning, or if it's all mushy and stuffy, it's difficult to actually get a good view. But it's worth trying. It's worth trying. Bit of orange. I do want to keep the orange in there, like a bit of an orange mood, as it has a very nice contrast with the color the blue. I guess we could say for the ocean siren that he's feeling quite blue. Obadiah Obadiah. Again, I have to think about this a little bit. Keeps the mind sharp, that's for sure. I'll go play more with light and shadow in a bit. I wanna do this. I know. Ooh, why would you do that? Like, sometimes we make happy mistakes, and I know I can paint right over that, but I don't. I don't think I have to. Some blue light that I want. This way we'll keep our steps. And we can always take a step back if we need to. Ooh, I was already thinking, thinking about what brush I was using right over there. You might wonder, like, why aren't you using references for this muck that you're drawing right now, and you do use references for a bunch of other stuff. When I was a child, I had many boat adventures, and when you go from, really gotta look this part up, but at least Alright. Guess that's more of the same name. I just had to look it up quite quickly. I believe it's the correct name in English is sluice, if I pronounce that even well enough. You have some great water distances or differences between one area and the other, and once they latter the water, they drop the water levels, and you see the lower half of this sluice that has always, in the majority of its lifespan, natural time standing there, has the pot flooded. Well, it's a whole lot of muck. It's interesting muck too. I mean, and if the water is flowing, and you go to visit it with, you know, diving and use your goggles, it's an entire different world. It doesn't look like muck. It looks like something gorgeous, flowy. So yeah, that's always piqued my interest. And also the thing I find interesting, so before a tree or a plant would die when you completely have an area flooded, for a brief moment, perhaps the first few days, the grass and everything, it looks like, you know, you're walking on land, but then with a whole lot of water just rushed over it. It's amazing, it's very interesting. But yeah, that's only for a couple of days until the grass starts to rot and die, and because grass or land grass won't fare well underneath the ocean, and needless to say that a seagrass doesn't fare well on land. So things start to smell bad if it lingers around. Even though moist, it's not gonna do well. It needs to be submerged. So yeah, welcome to the stream. We're gonna continue until I think 3 o'clock, depending on how well the stream is going. We have some fins going this way, but seeing how this being would rather save their energy, or his energy in this case. There's so many colors to keep in mind. I absolutely love the brickwork of the AI, but I'm still gonna go draw over it. Like I said, I'm using this as a skeleton base, and I use some parts to leave them alone, or the staircase I've left alone for the majority of it, and here's a part that you can obviously still see. I've already gone over the floor, I've gone over the sides, I'm brushing over the pillars and the stone edges everywhere, but at least rushing, taking my time doing that. Or thinking of something very cool that could be obtained from going on this quest. It's needless to say, going up against the necromancer is not going to be easy. That would be a certain CR rating that is yeah, of course, depending on the DM, you could also nerf it a little bit or up it when your players are of higher level. And of course, I am crafting this art piece to probably later on with the project that I intend on working on whenever I get some time on my my behalf. I intend on selling it. The Shrine of Shells. Like a lovely side quest. want some more coral. That's either dead or very much dying. There we go. I still have to make clear that this is just shallow water, and it will be more clear when the priestess is standing there too in the picture, and also giving away how big this ocean siren is that we have in our view. Oh, some of the colors just really blend in so well. Go. I know that these barnacles are just dots at the moment, and I have yet to figure out, or at least figure out, take effort. Let's put it in a different light. I have to take effort to perhaps give them more shape. Perhaps. So we do have the harpoon of the players. As for different players, I would say there is a harpoon stuck in this ocean siren, and if they manage to obtain it, it is a +1 weapon. I'm gonna have to figure out some stats for it. Just putting some shine on it, wanting to see how it looks. So yeah, if the players assume that in the picture, oh look at that, it's dead, then maybe they need a perception check on that, or they can assume what they want, of course. And if they don't make the perception check, or you can also tell the players to just make a perception check and then tell them a little bit more about the room itself. Needless to say that if they're going to charge at the ocean siren, it's going to try and defend itself, but it has disadvantage on everything. It can't really move, it can't really get away from where it is. It's too tired to do that. It has been struggling for a few days now, so the thing is battered. And you'd either need a druid or someone who can cast the enlarge reduce spell, which is a thing. Because you're not going to be able to boulder away such a large creature. It would need an entire team of barbarians before they'd be able to lift that, and I imagine it to be top-notch heavy. Because, you know, if you ever held onto a very large serpent, you might know what I mean. They're one big mass or muscle, and that weighs a whole lot more than fatty tissue. A tuna is not a lightweight either. Ask your local fisherman, like, how much does tuna weigh? Well, depending on the age of the fish, but it's often not very light. And imagine that splashing around. In this case, not so much. But it will put up a bit of a struggle and a fight if they decide to go for it. And if you want to persuade the creature, the ocean siren, that would need a bit of a high DC. Just because I don't think it would be trusting to it any small tiny humanoids any longer. Either it has been tricked or it has been mistreated by one, that's for sure. So don't imagine it to be too friendly. But yeah, if you have lovely suggestions on what the party could else, or with your party, or any kind of party really, would be able to find and get out of this high risk, high reward situation, because again, they'd have to defeat a necromancer who's using drowned undead to batter you off. And she completely lost her marbles. There's no persuasion check even possible with her. She's just a lunatic. It would take a whole lot of lunatic behavior to get into that circle that she has created. There may be some trickery. You could pretend to be a drowned undead and part of her horde. That's to get inside this tower that she's been holding up in. Scribbles right over there. I mean, sea level usually has this charming little edge, and this drawing has I guess that will be boop, boop, boop. Something like that. It was remarkable how they really showed the line of where the water went. Even in past times, like if the water has been set to a certain level and then has been set to be lower for a set amount of time, and then after that higher again, you can still see where those levels have been at based on the thickness of the algae and seagrass sticking to the walls of the sluice. amazing. Again, as for player characters, they I can set, of course, I can set the menace free. They can persuade the Ocean Siren with some luck. Leave it there, that's another thing. Get rid of it. There's many options actually. After defeating the priestess, the deep priestess or the deep nun, however you want to call her. I think I like the deep priestess. There's some muck here, some muck there. We're just gonna continue on with some very bright colors, or at least they're not nothing too bright because it's rotting mush. Hasn't had some seawater for some time, so it hasn't been submerged as it should have been to keep it alive. So it has this very unpleasant odor. This entire chamber is gonna reek. It's gonna be very bad for players. Oh, I've been working with a different brush without noticing. It's what you get when you're left-handed and you have your brush panel over there, but you're so used to your brush panel on the left side, and you're always like way all over it. Then again, if you have everything on the right side, then you have to make an active movement to go that way rather than. I can barely explain what I want, but well, I know what I want, and that is for the brush panel to be on my left side, but also have touch currently being a thing, because it makes it easy for me to maneuver through this entire document and file and get what I want within a jiff, within a bat of an eye. bit of that glowy, at least slightly more green blue, just to give way that these walls are really smushed in, and things are what they are. And it's going to be, well, it would take a long time to either let it all, you know, fall off on its own, and still it would dry up and it would be your new wall decoration. It would stop smelling after a couple of years, but then again, depending on how damp the room remains with a chamber, it could still smell awful. The reason why I'm using some orange is because of the decay that is going on over there. It's like a real lovely decaying wall piece. That's smudge on it. Coral usually goes kind of pale grey when it dries up. At least paler than what it is underwater when it's alive. I might want to add some coral pieces sticking out of there, here, there. Nothing too much. So we have one mushy wall right over here. Gonna go play with some light and darkness. I'm gonna go for multiply first. Maybe I want to add some glow to it. Have some of the natural lightning but down. I have to zoom out to figure out how to, or at least how it looks. Think about it. I think this just has the effect that I want. Okay, some brightness. Or some light, but there's also some darkness. Nice contrasts. I like that. And so, a duplicate. I'll merge all of that. I'll make another duplicate. I'm gonna be real cheeky, like most artists in the industry. Like, as work hours versus playing smart and pace. It's not always doing a thing that you wanted to do, but you always make it so that it does behave the way you want it to. On a separate layer. So, right over here. Now we have two walls. Lovely, covered in muck. Do something about that so it doesn't, you know, become too obvious. Scribbles, scritches and scratches. Yeah, and for some reason I do think I'm gonna shove up the line with dirt muck. looks like it's completely submerged. Or it's been, at least the part that we can see on this image has been submerged once a few days ago. And if there are dwarves in the party, they would be able to tell the creators of this shrine / temple that the characters find themselves in. And it could be that it was once a tower used by Wizards of Thay. I have yet to mind up some stuff from dwarves, because they always want to look at the stone, like at the building, like, oh, what can I get from this? Well, it had a different purpose, that is for sure. Fact. The priestess that is roaming about did not create it on her own. She's making use of it and what was left of what once was. So there you have it. Part of that greenery I want to hit too. I want to make it so that it is you can still see the shape of the pillars, but it takes great effort, or at least it takes some looking. Like, it's still there, and you can still see shapes and stuff like that, but it's all covered. Yeah, that's more like it. I like the light show that I want to have going on. Hello, Bioma. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you. Oh, please don't think that I've been drawing this within a wee wacky 2 hours or 55 minutes or something like that. No, 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 no. Been working on this yesterday evening too, and I thought, hey, why not share this? So in the beginning of this video I shared some progress and how I got to this point where I'm still scratching on wall mucus. I'm gonna call it wall mucus. I'll take a sip of coffee. Ah, no, that's okay. Always important to make a file save. Sometimes I forget spaghetti. And yes, I have played the new Zelda and I got stuck building things. Instead of playing the entire game, I was distracted by building things, and solemnly building things and how to build bigger things. Until the point where I broke things and it didn't go my way. Sadly, I cannot stream Zelda, otherwise I would have totally streamed Zelda. But you need an extender to have your Nintendo Switch attached to your computer, PC, and get that done. How about you? Have you played the new Zelda? Yeah, they knew what they did. They exactly knew what they did, and stuff happened. A whole lot of stuff. Let me merge these layers. Bloop. Ooh, very nice. Early B-Day present. Yes, that's coming up too. Indeed. Congrats. At the moment, as you can probably see, working on the Shrine of Shells. What a thing. You've also stumbled upon the same ocean siren that I threw at you guys. You went around it very smartly, the other party threw a harpoon at it. No, that is so cute. Your dad is the best. Yeah, if the campaign continued, you might. There is a chance to completely avoid him, of course. If fight wasn't necessary, and I believe if you would take out a boat, you might have seen him again. There's odds that you come across him when taking out a boat and you go on a boating adventure. But since you handled it in a certain way, I don't think he'd attack the boat, but might ask for another fee or a payment to pass into the territory or domain of water, but leave you alone for the rest of it. So that really depends on the situation. Like if you have NPCs aboard that would throw harpoons at him, then yeah, then you have your water battle, and then he has advantage on a water battle. On land, disadvantage on everything for him. Good riddance. Yeah, to be fair, I never really viewed this one as being kind. Yeah, no, it does not. Well, then again, all ends well, and bright ideas aside, there's an interesting story to tell right now because of the other party that threw a harpoon at him and they got their boat crashed. He sunk their boat, so they have a motive to go for revenge. And as did you guys had some revenge ideas as well, unbeknownst to Mr. Ocean Siren here. I mean, he did do something that wasn't too nice, remember? But he'd not be aware of it. As for the other party, he's more stingy aware because they left something inside of him in the shape of a harpoon. So, hence the reason he'd attack on sight, or at least attempt to if he's in the condition to do so. As for other players who'd come across this foe for the first time, normally he'd ask for a fee for trespassing through his waters in the shape of food. And the cruel part comes as follow. You either have to sacrifice an NPC or one of your own PCs before you can advance, or anything that is edible, and considering his size you may have to offer up a whole lot of food to get past him without combating. And a bit of a tip, don't bring any mermaids near or within close department of any ocean siren, because they'll get torn apart. It's a harsh lesson that we all learned. It's a thing. They aren't fond of one another. At least not in the D&D settings that I set up. I already made them horrible enemies before the show continued. Yeah, they all survived except for one NPC who ended up being eaten by this foe. Hobbit, our fisherman, sadly, yeah, went up into fish chum. And a certain Warforged had to walk all the way back to it, the Waterdeep Harbor, to get out. Luckily, he got a yeah, a hitchhike from a dragon turtle. Not that the dragon turtle knew that it had a Warforged on its exterior, but saved some of the days of walking that he had to do. Yeah, Hobbit. That's an oof. They had, luckily, the Ocean Siren had been sighted because it was crashing and trashing a ship near the coast because they weren't too far away from Waterdeep. So the alarm bells in the city went off for sighting an Ocean Siren, like, oh! And he sticks out because he's so big. And the merchants, Namwir and Al-Amir from Nadorn, they were nearby on their carpet, so they decided to help the party out. place the survivors, and they kind of pissed off the cleric over there, as they had the cleric with them, Joshua. It's not too hard to piss Joshua off, but he rightfully so has been pissed off by this party because they got him drunk on a boat because he got seasick, and they said like, yeah, you got a drink, and he didn't want to drink, but they forced him to drink alcohol while being seasick, and then their boat got crashed by an ocean siren. Needless to say, Joshua is not in doesn't hold them in a good light. Luckily, they have their own cleric, though. The boat was attacked, and he did try to attack them, but they squirmed all over the ship, so he couldn't grab them, but he could grab the boat, and within one action, that boat was kind of torn in half. So rather than tackling them, he tackled the boat first. And after that, he would go after them, so they were lucky that they kind of survived that. But then again, I couldn't go too harsh on them, even though, yeah, sometimes players do have to learn, and actions have consequences. But all ended well, and it had a lovely tale to tell with a harpoon stuck in one's tail. Yeah, I think they learned, and but they are adamant on going after the ocean siren, and they really want, like you guys, want to have it gone and dead. And good riddance, they should so. I mean, it's not the nicest guy out there. Bit of a monster. They are doing the Oreback quest, and this quest is much more needed than at least it's not much quest. It's still the main part of the campaign. It became the main part because they're after vampire fangs for the keys of the vault. They have different keys to unlock the vault, depending on whom they pissed off. So that was funny. And so they're going after a vampire. They did receive a good couple of hints about a particular flower named Vampire Fangs. They didn't pick that up. They chose to woefully ignore it and go for combat. So there they are, off against a Machine clone. And that's where they are. That's where we left off. And after that, after they got the Vampire Fangs that they want, they're going for the Temple of Water to get some nymph hair, and then they'll be able to unlock the vault and cash in. Not necessarily. They just make a whole lot of interesting choices. Sometimes they choose the political route, and so they are really like social justice warriors trying to do the right thing. And at the same time, there's some selfishness. Like, oh, I want this item or something, and this NPC has it. How can I get it? Depending on the situation, of course. And there is a player who plays smart, but on the evil smart side spectrum, and it's at least it's close to evil. I would say more neutral, because there is some thought behind what is being done. There is some really splendid thought behind what is done, so that's amazing. But it's not necessarily always the nicest thing to it NPCs. Like NPCs are usually up in the fray. Now, at least what they do try to do is to finish off NPCs as quick as possible without, you know, going for the kneecaps and busting their kneecaps, so they're not in the torture department. yet, except for one player, I believe. So yeah, that makes it interesting. I have to figure out hands, that's a thing. I got to the point where I have to do that. Then I have to zoom in. Oof! No, no, no. Stay where you are. Don't swim away. Okay, we have... And right over there. It's like the breaking points of a thumb. Webbed fingers, that was a thing too. Yeah, indeed. Ugh, gold. It's a thing. But I prefer to keep on drawing hands, fingers, rather than trying to hide them in a picture, because that gets so awkward at one point. Like, you just have to face it and tackle those issues. As for your campaign and this Ocean Siren, how I would see combat with you guys is that you'd go after him. You'd, at one point, once done with the main quest, you take your time, like, okay, we're gonna go after this bastard and we're gonna go smash it. And we're gonna go figure out on the go, on our way, on a path to how we smash it. The other party already pre-planned how they would smash this bastard and how they would defeat it. They want to go out on a boat and use another boat with 2 bags of holding and have the bags of holding explosion dimension thingy happen. Granted that this boat doesn't topple down or anything happens to it, and that this Ocean Siren is staying within close proximity when this odd boat with 2 bags attached to its mast approaches. That is going to sit and wait like a duck for that. Well, maybe it does if it's really curious. Could be. It's one. That's true, that's true. As for the interesting story about what the other party did, this harpoon over there, he's not getting it out because it's stuck in there. It is barbed. It's like a barbed harpoon, so it hurts when he yanks it, and he left it in there because, well, it hurt a wee bit too much. It's like a child with a tooth that doesn't want to come out. Situation. If I had to describe something. Skeletons. That could be a thing too. Then he would certainly die of food poisoning, but also Cap would be done for as well, which is sad, and we wouldn't want to lose Cap here. As for an explanation for Cap, is a homebrew character, or at least homebrew species, in combination from Bayama and I, that we set up for the game. It's a funglet, meaning that it's a rather poisonous little fungus that is walking around, or at least it can be poisonous if you eat it. And the spores, also very poisonous. That's the reason it's poisonous. So yeah, as for Bayama, other than food poisoning, how would you tackle an ocean siren? I mean, in consideration taking fact that they are huge, and no, this is not D&D creature that you can look up as something homebrew. Like, would you want to go for the dagger holding, perhaps, or harpoon it, going after it like a whaler, like using this warship, and not the tiny galleon that you guys were in? Oh, that is such a bummer. Poor galleon, poor ship. Yeah, at least you guys had the ship in one piece. Let's take a step back and view the differences between where we are and where we started this session. Leave there. So, a lot of light and muck. And shadows. And muck. Again, muck. A little drab. I guess I like to see drab in this chamber. Really gives something to it, something aesthetic. Might have to change that arm a bit because it looks broken. Could be. Maybe it trashed around so much that it broke his arm. That he broke his arm. No clue what he does down there. Can't imagine it to be quite pleasant, considering that he needs a whole lot of water to move and swim and do his thing. The reason why he's still alive in this situation is he can breathe. He can breathe air, but does need the skin to be moist. Alright, so as in Baima, you would get him on land, that would be hard, and getting a large ship needs a lot more people to have a grudge on an enemy, so you need a way to be able to fight it in water, ways to move and breathe in it, and beyond that we just need to be strong enough. True. That's also a thing. Baiting is another thing. You could use a human bait. Sounds wrong, absolutely. Hire a warship. You don't need to buy a warship. That's a thing too. Like round up some people might be mad enough. Like, oh yeah, this little bastard. We're gonna go get it. Could be more reasons to it. As for the quest that I am working on, it gives the option to either set the Ocean Tyrant free, and it's up to the DM to say like, oh, there's consequences to setting this monster free or not. One thing I would say is that he'd be appreciative and not sink your ship, and that would be the only thing. Anybody else is free game. So he'd still be a plague for other NPCs that come across him in the waters. He'd just no longer be a plague for you and your party and perhaps your loved ones if you are very good at describing how they look like. Like, oh, they gained passage, fine. But anything else is just free game. So that puts in a bit of a moral dilemma depending on the party. Some would just say, oh, we're gonna go for the murder, definitely. That thing, we're not gonna let it loose. And there'd be awesome loot to be had. Like the little harpoon. And with the goody two shoes way, like I want to set him free. Yeah, you can still get the harpoon. You'd have to pluck it out of him. He's not gonna do that himself. Because it hurts. That'd be a thing. And I know we've been working with our priestess for quite some time, but here she is. And that's the size, the sheer size. She'd fit in his hand with ease. Remembering that, I still have to work on her as well, and not just put her like a doll in front of this. Like, oh, I'm standing right over here. She needs more of an action pose to do something. Like here or there, like coming from the wall, being hidden in a wall. Her outfit does make sure that she goes up with the mush. She has a mushy dress. Yeah, that is a thing, and Leith is too passive to do such a thing, or at least from what I got from him, he's like Avatar Aang. He's like, no. The only reason I see Leith go after the Ocean Siren is to teach it a lesson, but not to kill it, and that is pure chance if he comes across it. I would say that the priestess has some interesting loot, and she is one of those people, one of those NPCs that you definitely, even if you are a social justice warrior with your party, you are passive, you like after Ang, she is one of those NPCs that is probably really worth landing your kill on, or at least more deserving than any of the other NPCs there. Not because she is naive toward the consequences and actions that it has that she does, but she is not going to stop, and it's really clear that she won't learn her lesson from all of this. She will continue to do what she does, and not stopping her means another army of drowned undead popping up somewhere, another village going gone, all its people, all those beings. So yeah, whatever her reason, she is not going to stop doing what she does. She is definitely one of those characters that you should be getting rid of. And I am urged. I want to say like maybe the same goes for the Ocean Siren in the background, but doesn't have to be. At least that one, you can make a negotiation or some sort of deal with it if you have a very good persuasion. This woman is not gonna quit. Let's merge those layers and play around a little bit with. I mean, we could keep her standing like this, but she deserves a more interesting pose, as if raising the dead. That could be a thing. Maybe that could be up for next time when we summon this picture to come back. Just giving it a very quick try out. I would say move arms. There she goes, summoning a horde of undead that have been drowned. The actions of, or consequences of her actions. Whether she knows it or not, or is aware of it or not. She is the sole cause behind what has happened. With her hands raised, she looks like a handmaiden, or previously when standing with her hands folded. And yes, we have a bit of the Pirates of the Caribbean action going on over here. I mean, why not? Imagine the crabs that are in that area. They are having a good time. Those crabs are well fed. Oh yes, the hands folded. Also a thing nuns do a lot, so. Or priests, priestess. So all of these zombies, these drowned zombies, they'd be covered with the same muck, and they really go up in their surroundings. Maybe some of them have barnacles on them, I don't know. Some seaweed here, there, some bones showing. They're far beyond the stages of being bloated corpses. Maybe the more fresh samples are still very much bloated. Like you got a gurgler or something. Probably want that one standing. I mean, it has to be a nice, interesting battle. Don't think zombies do too much. Drowned ones or zombies, same stats, I believe. But it's not gonna do a whole lot. Maybe you wore a shirt or something, a blouse. Yeah, I'll have to think about that. At least the positions where these undead drowned come from, and I believe they'd be stuck to the walls or laying in the water, getting up. It's shallow water, so of course they're going to be notably visible to the players when they come into view. And the only way to deal with this cuckoo lady is to actually get rid of her. Or she will continue her divine work and continue to build these shrines of shells with a horde of undead followers, the cultists, with a few living among them. So, as in for map, I would say there are several rooms. A few of them hold onto a few rare cookies that are still living cultist members, among several undead drowned. They can be tricked. I won't say that it's hard to do. Well, it takes some acting work, like you need some real performance checks to be made to trick them into the non-combat version. And otherwise butchering your way through is just fine. It works a whole lot faster, I'd say, in this case. Yeah, alright. I'm gonna hold it down to this. I'm gonna go save the image. I've yet to think about the high reward that you're going to get from it. Maybe it's something that this mini boss over here, because that's the Mad Priestess, the Priestess of the Deep, she'd have something, maybe a lovely staff or a wand, or I wouldn't necessarily go for her attire. It might have something for the players, but boy, it smells bad. Oh. Oof. That'll be a disadvantage on your stealth if you're gonna go wear her outfit. Everybody can smell you coming from afar. Unless you're fighting an ocean battle underwater where there's a lot of dying muck, then you'll go up in the surroundings, but otherwise, no. Alright, have a good day and see you next time. Cheers!